Hello YouTube, this is Geeky Austin, and today we are going to take a look at the NECA Godzilla 2019. This Godzilla figure stands at about 6 inches tall from the top of his tallest dorsal fin. And here he is next to the NECA Godzilla 1962 and the NECA Godzilla 1954. And also, for those that are wanting to know, here he is next to the NECA Godzilla 2014. And yes, sculpt-wise, they are very similar. About the only real difference, of course, are the dorsal fins and the fact that this Godzilla has got a different sculpted tail. The feet are a bit different, and I believe the head sculpts are a bit different too. Give me just one quick second. Okay, here we go. So you can see clearly that the head sculpts are, they look to be a tiny bit different. If anything at all, this Godzilla just has sharper details on it. But yeah, I do feel that the head sculpts on both are just a tiny bit different, but not too much. Okay, so before we begin the detail, I will go ahead and mention, because many of you had already noticed, I will even state this in the title of this video. Yes, if you do look closely at this Godzilla's face, you will notice that his eyes are indeed painted differently. I bought this figure, and immediately after getting it out of the package, the eyes were screwed up and the teeth and gums looked just horrendous. Everything looked so bad that I just didn't care. I immediately got out my acrylic paints and went to work on this and repainted the eyes and repainted the teeth and gums. And they do look better, but I will go into more detail about this and even show some before pictures once I get into the paint job. But first off, let's talk about the detail on this figure. Detail-wise, this figure is stunning. NECA really hit the ball out of the park on the detail of this Godzilla figure. All the details on Godzilla's entire scales and skin look really good, especially the dorsal fins. The dorsal fins have a nice bone look, almost like a tree bark look to them, which is really nice. And again, as I mentioned, all the scales and everything on him, all the bumps and wrinkles, they look really good all over across the figure. The face looks very nice sculpt-wise. It looks very nice, especially on the chest here. The arms look really good. The legs look great. The feet are, as I said on the 2014 figure, they are bigger and they look a little bit better. And of course, all the way down to the tip of the tail, again, detail-wise, this figure is phenomenal. I really do love how this figure looks in terms of its sculpt, and I feel that NECA really did a good job improving it. Because, as I mentioned before when I talked about these two figures, the main thing it looks like NECA did, first off, NECA announced that they actually made 100% new sculpt on this, but I don't believe that. I believe what they've done is they took the old sculpt of this Godzilla and enhanced it. And again, it is very clear that you can see just how similar the sculpts are on both of these figures. But if anything, what they have done is they took this old sculpt and improved it with this one by deepening out all the details and ridges here, giving them the new dorsal fins, the new tail and everything. All in all, what they have done is they've taken an older sculpt that was never bad to begin with, but just made it look better, just so much better. And yeah, it's a 2 thumbs up for NECA for what they've done on the sculpt. It looks phenomenal. Okay, and as for the paint job is a different question. As I had already stated, I had to completely repaint the eyes and the gums on this figure. Like I said, I will show some old pictures to give you an idea, but the eyes originally were solid white with just decaled pupils on them. And this one here was looking straight out at you, while this other one was looking straight up. And right here on the eye, they accidentally screwed up and put the decal on like his eyelid. Like I said, it was a really botched up job. And then of course the gums. The gums originally were painted with a lightish pink, but it blended in with the teeth so much that it just looked like it was just badly painted teeth. And again, even the teeth were painted badly. But other than that, that is the only things that I really had a negativity for. The rest of the paint job, again, is a bit hit and miss, but it's nowhere as bad as all of this on his face was. The rest of the paint job is done with these different mixes of browns and grays and blacks to help highlight all the details that are in the sculpt, and especially on the dorsal fins. The paint job on the dorsal fins looks fantastic. While on the rest, it's a bit hit and miss. Like right here, I don't know if the camera can pick that up, but you can see just a little bit of darker splotches going on the shoulder, and it's across that throughout other parts of the body. Right here on the leg, it's very noticeable. The tail is the most noticeable because you can see a difference in shading right here on the tail, which of course this part of the tail is a separate accessory. But yeah, and the claws are painted in a dark brownish green, which doesn't look terrible. The mouth has a nice bit of pink on the inside, and that's pretty much the entire sculpt. That's about the entire paint job. And okay, as for articulation, the articulation on this figure is really good, but there is only one thing that hinders it for me calling this figure just fantastic in that area. And that, of course, is the head. The head is on a ball joint right here, right below the jawline, which allows you to be able to get you can rotate his head about that much from side to side, and you can get very, very little left and right. And as for up and down, you get nothing. There's absolutely nothing in here. And because, again, it's the way it was sculpted, but you can't even get Godzilla to look up, so it looks like he's firing his atomic beam into the sky like the posters showed. So it is just a little infuriating that you can't get any up and down movement with the head. But I understand why NECA had it like this is because of the way it's sculpted, but I wish it was better, and really and truly that's about the only part of the articulation I don't care for too much. The jaw is on a hinge, which allows you to open it up about that far and close it all the way. The neck is on another ball joint, which is just about as hindered as the head, but for different reasons. This time it's because of the way this flap goes over onto the body, and of course, as you can see, part of the dorsal fin right here is in the way of this dorsal fin right here, meaning while you're moving it, you gotta be very careful to not rub it up against each other too much, or eventually you will tear this up or mess up the paint. So you have to be very careful when doing that, but you can again get about the same amount of side-to-side movement. Actually, you can actually rotate it all the way around. Okay. So yeah, you can rotate it all the way around. That's not too bad. Side-to-side, again, is hindered even more than what the head was. You can barely get anything out of it. Up and down is the exact same. It's extremely hindered on anything but a swivel, which, again, a little bit of disappointment, but it was mainly this one here that bugged me the most. Anyways, the arms are on ball joints, which allows you to rotate them all the way around, and you can get them to spread out about that far, which is not too bad, and you can get them to go in about that much. Pretty limited, but it's about as much as you would expect the 2019 Godzilla to be able to pull off, so it works. The elbows are on hinges right here, ball hinges, which allows you, of course, to rotate that all the way around. You can get his arms to poke out about that far, and you can bend them up that much, which ain't too bad. The hands are also on ball hinges, which allows you to rotate that hand all the way around. And you can hinge the hand about that much and up that far, so you can get a decent amount of movement. No finger articulation, which honestly, I think the 2014 Godzilla and this Godzilla are the only ones that don't have any finger movement. Which, again, for as small as the hands are, I'm kind of glad. They're probably breakable, but whatever, it don't matter. Anyways, the torso is on a ball joint, which allows you to rotate the torso just about all the way around, but if you could hear that little bit of clacking, I'm worried about doing that too much because I feel that I would break it, but you can get a massive amount of side-to-side movement as long as you're not worried about this ugly gap in the dorsal fins. As for up and down, very, very limited. There's not much you can do. Side to side, again, very limited. It's just like the neck. It's mostly just a swivel. As for the legs are on the same type of bizarre ball hinge system that the 2001 Godzilla had, and even the 2014 Godzilla here has. It's set up in a way to where when you rotate it, you can see how the sculpt right here is pushed out and how it flushes back into the body. Because of that, though, you can't get a whole lot of poses without it looking like this ugly bulge just sticking out of the leg. So you'd have to play around with it and be careful. There isn't a whole lot of in and out movement that you can do with it. I feel that this is because this figure needs to be warmed up a bit before I could try it, but I don't want to risk it because I don't want to loosen the joints too much. And of course also you got issues like this one right here. Let me move that out of the way. You can see how right here on the leg it's sticking out, but there's not much I can do to fix that. But again, the type of hinge system that it is on, if you put enough force to it, yeah, you can fix it a little bit. But I honestly don't know why these Godzilla figures have this type of system in the hips. I feel that there's other ways that NECA could fix this and make it better, but it's okay for what it is. I just wish it wasn't so annoying. Anyways, the knees right here are on a ball hinge system like the elbows, which allows you to bend the legs in about that much, and you can straighten them out about that far, and of course you can get some rotation out of it. Not much, but there's a little bit there. And the feet are on ball joints, which allows you to bring his foot down about that much and up that far, and you can get some rotation out of it, and there's even some ankle rocker, which is nicely impressive for this Godzilla figure. There's not a whole lot of Godzilla figures that has a decent amount of ankle rocker, so I'm glad this one has it. And okay, as for the last bit, of course, is the tail. The tail has a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ball joints. 10 ball joints are in this tail. Just like Godzilla 1962, so long to bendy wire tails. Now we have Godzilla tails with a full range of articulation similar to SH Monster Arts, which is really impressive. And because of that, you can get this tail to pose in just about any way that you want. You can't get it to go up a bit too much though because of the dorsal fins. They all get in the way and hinder that movement. But you can get a decent amount of up movement, down movement, and side to side movement. And you can almost get the tail to go into a complete curve, but it depends on how much you play with the ball joints. Eventually you can get it to stay like that if you... So yeah, that is nice that you can pose him like that if you really want to. Okay, and as for accessories. Zippo, nada, nothing. It is pretty much a bit disappointing that this Godzilla figure comes with no accessories since their previous release, which was Godzilla 1962, right here. He actually did come with a fire breath attachment, which is really nice looking, and it is disappointing this Godzilla does not come with one. And I know why they did that. Coming out in a couple of weeks or months, there will be a atomic breath variant with this Godzilla figure. So it is very obvious that what they are doing is that they are milking the cow, and they're coming up with ways to make you want to spend more money, because to get a fire breath attachment for this Godzilla, you have to get that other Godzilla. It makes sense in the long run. But as for other accessories, yeah, you honestly can put Godzilla 1962's fire breath attack in there, but yeah, you would need a stand for it to sit on, because he can't hold on to it. And the same goes for the fire breath attack that came with the 2001 atomic breath version. Again, it doesn't fit in there very well, and you would need a stand to hold it up. But if you got a stand and you got those figures, you can do that if you want to take a picture with this guy shooting out an atomic ray. Okay then, so overall, the detail on this guy, as I've stated, is phenomenal. 2 thumbs up. NECA did a great job on the detail with this figure. He looks stunning, and I love everything about the detail. The paint job, as I stated, is a hit and miss, with the worst part, of course, being the paint job on the face, with the way the eyes and the teeth and gums looked. But other than that, like I said, it's not terrible, but it could have been better, like I said, with all the dark splotches that are across the body. But still, paint job wise, it's not so terrible to the point to where it's like, don't buy this figure. Just understand that you need to look at different variants that's available to you to come up with one that you want. Or if you have the ability to paint your figures, just do what I did and take your time and patience and just fix up the parts that you don't like. Because in the long run, I still feel this figure is worth the price for what it is. Articulation wise is, again, despite the one little spot that I don't care for too much, it's not terrible. The articulation on it is really, really good. And no accessories, which is a letdown. But all in all, for about 25 to 30 bucks, I say this guy is worth it. He looks really, really good on a shelf. And compared to other Godzilla 2019 figures that are out there, at the moment, this is your best bet for 6-inch Godzilla figures. The SH Monster Arts version has come out about a week ago or so, so you can go and get that one if you want, but it's a difference between 70 bucks and about 25 to 30. So that would be up to you, but honestly, I would still say to get this guy. He is not bad. He is a very nice figure, and he's one that I am happy to own in my collection. And thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Geeky Austin.